Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
And welcome to Community Comment here on 95.3 WBEV. I'm Jake Hayes, and we are going to get the action rolling in the Daily Dodge TV studios with Terry Bell here soon. Just wanted to remind you, we are presented by Professional Floor Covering here for Community Comment and Abbey Design Center at 713 Park Avenue in Beaver Dam. They are locally owned. Randy and his team are here to help you design the perfect space with over 1,000 samples of carpet, LVP, hardwood, tile, area rugs, window finishings, and so much more. It's more than floors, too. It's a wide selection of kitchen and bathroom countertops, cabinets, tile, shower inserts, and more. And going on now at Professional Floor Covering, get your countertop updated in your kitchen or bathroom. The material, color, and pattern of a countertop all play a major role in how a kitchen or bath remodel will turn out. They offer a large selection of quartz, granite, marble, and laminate countertops, and they'll help you find the perfect countertop that fits with both your lifestyle and design. And now, without further ado, we send it to the Daily Dodge TV studios and Terry Bell for today's Community Comment.
Thank you very much, Jake, and welcome everybody to Community Comment. We're talking about all things Mayville today with Mayville Mayor Rob Belk. And Mayor, welcome to Community Comment.
Thanks again for having me, Terry.
Of course, always a pleasure. You can be a part of the conversation, too, if you have a question or a comment for Mayor Belk, especially if you live in Mayville. We invite you to call us or text us at 920-887-9595, or you can call the WBEV studio line at 885-4446. Congratulations are in order. You won your race for re-election yesterday, although I understand you were largely unopposed. You had some write-in opposition, but that was about it.
I'm going to be serving my fifth term now as mayor of Mayville, which I'm the longest tenure mayor since 1954 when Elmer Guzmer was the mayor. So it's been a while.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's. I guess that goes to show that by the people of Mayville, you're doing right by them.
Well, I hope that's a reflection. I try to do my best, and that's not because I'm not putting in the effort. So hopefully they see the effort I'm putting forward.
Okay. There was another vote yesterday. That was a school district referendum. Please get us caught up on what that called for, what the outcome is, and what's next.
Yeah, I mean, Mayville didn't have a referendum yet. I did have to talk to the school administrator last week about the status of Mayville School District, and it's kind of concerning.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
For for every $100 that people pay for taxes for the school, $16 goes towards the voucher program, which is quite a bit of money, especially when you're dealing with millions of dollars. That's pretty concerning. The other thing that's concerning is that after the 27-28 school season, right now there's a cap on how many people can actually use the vouchers, and that cap is going to be lifted. So it's concerning because Mayville right now is number 3 in the state for vouchers as far as per cap, how many students we have actually using the voucher program. So I'm kind of concerned that our system right now is geared towards two different school systems, right? A private and a public school system, and it's not working. That's why all these referendums are popping up all over the place for more funding because they're not getting it from the state.
What would you like the state to do to make things different and better?
Well, I think they need to look at the voucher program seriously, how we're going to manage it. Obviously, the voucher program right now, there is no requirements as far as testing scores and any kind of parameters. As far as taxpayer, I believe there is going to be some challenges coming up in the Supreme Court on this too, that it's unconstitutional that I have to give my taxpayers and it's going to go towards private schools without the same requirements.
How are Mayville schools doing in general? Things are quite a touch and go in Hughesford right now. Dodgeland is in a perilous situation. How does Mayville compare?
Well, I think Husisford is just a tip of the iceberg. That they're probably going to dissolve or going to merge with another school district, and I think that's just a start. I think it's going to continue forward with all these smaller school districts. I do know that last year Mayville did cut a check back to the state of Wisconsin for almost $1.2 million. So it is concerning. I think as a society, as us in the state, we need to figure out what do we want to do with educating our students and how we're going to go forward with that, and make sure we talk to our legislators and tell them what your vision is.
Yeah, definitely a big concern for people in Wisconsin, especially as these referendums keep coming back more frequently and asking for more and more. The taxpayer can only be stretched so thin.
Right.
Turning the page now.
Right. I mean.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah. Well, just between how much you give your taxes to the city, you give your taxes to the county, you give your taxes to the school, you give your taxes to Marine Park. That's another thing that I think the state needs to address is like all this funding that we're giving to all these identities. It's all heavily on property tax. There's other states that use other different revenue sources, and I think that's something the state's got to address in the future.
Very good. Let's talk about a good opportunity in Mayville, and that is the library making available some radon detectors.
But I did talk to the librarian about radon detectors because we have a high level of radon in our area. I know I tested my house a few years ago, and it's supposed to be under 4. Mine was at 44. And mine isn't an old home, and it's not a new home. It's kind of in between. So I wanted to make sure that our residents are safe, and it's not just Mayville residents. Anybody in the area can check them out at the library free of charge as long as you have a Mayville library card. And I encourage people to take advantage of that because it's the number 2 leading cause of lung cancer in our societies, and and Terry, you don't really realize this, but after I got a radon mitigation system installed, I used to have a sore throat every morning when I woke up, and now my sore throat's gone, and I'm not as phlegmy as I used to be. So I think there's something to this, and now my radon levels are under 1. So for public health and safety, I believe that everyone should try to take advantage of this and get down to the Mayville Library and check out a radon detector.
My goodness, yeah, that is certainly alarming. I'm guessing that has something to do with the soil in the Mayville area? How the ground is made up?
The limestone deposits and stuff like that. But this Dodge County is a high area, so across the state. So, it's not just Mayville residents, but I encourage everybody, if you could take advantage of this, go ahead and do it. I mean, I talked to the librarian. He had some extra money in his budget, and that's why we thought it was a good idea just to check it out, just like a library book. And then you can have it for a week and make sure your levels are within tolerance.
That's great. Are they expensive to buy or rent otherwise?
Well, I bought one for my house, permanent one, so I can have it monitored every day, and it was like $140, $50 bucks. So it's not, too cheap, but this is a good opportunity to have it for free. So.
Absolutely, by all means. We're talking to Mayville Mayor Rob Belk about all things happening in Mayville. We need to take a quick break, but we'll be right back. You're listening to Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
This week's
These are the happenings in your community. Thank you for joining this edition of Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge, presented by Professional Floor Covering.
And we are back with more community comment in the Daily Dodge TV studios. Here's Terry Bell.
Thank you very much, Jake, and welcome back, everybody, to Community Comment. We're talking about all things Mayville on this first half hour of Community Comment. Coming up after the news, we're going to be talking with Beaver Dam Fire Chief Mike Wesley about a lot of interesting things that are going on with the fire department here in Beaver Dam. Speaking of Beaver Dam, the discussions happening about data centers, among the many things that people are talking about here, are TIDs, how they work, why they exist, what good do they do, what problems they may cause, and also understand that in Mayville, TIDs are a hot topic of conversation.
Yeah, there's we created a TID number 7 last year in Mayville, and now we're going to be maybe expanding that in areas so we can get more development on and especially for housing, because we're having such a housing problem right now. But because of the tornado last year that went through, we have some buildings that were torn down. We have another building in Mayville Products, 75% that building's going to be torn down, and it's under DNR permitting requirements right now. So we have to figure out over the next 20 years how we're going to manage all this stuff, and that includes housing. So we're definitely looking at a bunch of different options, including downtown as well.
Creating a new TID, extending an existing TID to downtown?
Probably not creating new, probably extending old TIF districts, tax increment districts in different areas of town. That probably is going to involve a couple different TIDs.
Mm-hmm. Why do you feel that this is a good tool to help attract the kind of development you're looking for?
Well, that's just it. TIDs are a tool, right? And they help alleviate a couple different things. It helps for financing because we can borrow the money at a cheap interest rate at the state for development. And then the other good thing about TIDs is that the taxpayers don't have to worry about it on the front end. They have to worry about it on the back end. So here in Mayville, we haven't had a failing TIF, knock on wood, yet. And that's because we do a good job on our development agreements on what percentage we can actually give for development.
Absolutely. Also, it's early yet in the year, but it's never ever too early, I guess, in local government to be thinking about next year's budget. And you wanted to talk about that process today.
Yeah, so I just got elected here last night, and we're already looking at the budget for 2027. So, towards the end of the month, we'll be talking to our department heads about our capital improvement plan over the next 5 years and what we want to see purchased. Our debt limit's a little bit higher than I would like, and I'm hoping that we can try to keep our capital improvement projects under $1 million this year, and we won't have to borrow, but we'll have to wait and see.
What are going to be the big ticket items in next year's budget?
Right. It just seems like I just got off the highway as chairman of the highway for the county, but it just seems the old expression is you're always chasing your tail, right? And that seems how roads are always the same way. It seems like roads aren't lasting as long as they used to. They're expensive to put in, and how we maintain them. So roads is always a top priority, and how we go about accomplishing roads. And then I'm actually looking at, with the DPW director, also extending our roads. So we should be doing some maybe rejuvenation after a while with our roads. So every 2 or 3 years we need to put some seal coating on them, and that's a whole nother part of the budget process. So roads is going to be top priority. Emergency services is always top priority. DPW buildings are kind of getting to where they've had better lives. So a lot of improvements that we need to make with a lot of different buildings, and we gotta kind of filter through all that.
Certainly. Any updates on progress in the search for a new medical clinic for Mayville?
Well, I had a medical facility that was going to come to Mayville, and after we talked to SSM Health, their concern is that SSM Health might come back to Mayville at some point, so now they pulled the plug and they're not coming to Mayville, which is very, very disappointing. But we still are having our options open as far as talking to some other clinics, and so at some point, we're going to have more discussion on, where we go from here. And maybe the best thing is just to have an independent come into Mayville as well and help them set up shop.
Certainly. There was a survey that indicated that people in Mayville really want a clinic. How inconvenienced are people now for their medical and healthcare needs?
I mean, a lot of it is drive time, right? You got to figure that in the equation when you set up your appointments now, and then you have to schedule someone to take you. A lot of the elderly in Mayville, which we're an elderly population, have to arrange for, people to take them into the doctor and take them back to the doctor. We don't sound like we have an Uber service in Mayville. So, rural areas are very challenged when it comes to medical and health. And you could probably put a lot of different communities in that category that's considered rural. And healthcare in this country in general is an issue. So it's all concerning, especially as someone for me, and I'm trying to look out for my town, and it's very challenging to try to navigate that whole process.
Our guest this half hour has been Mayville Mayor Rob Beck. Again, congratulations on your election yesterday, and best of luck to you going forward in the future.
Well, thanks, Terry. And again, I'd like to thank WBEV for this opportunity to talk to the taxpayers and the residents of Dodge County. So thank you.
Very good. Happy to do it. We'll talk to you again in another month or two.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Very good. We need to take a quick break for the news, but we'll be right back. You're listening to Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
of today's community comment.
Thank you very much, Jake, and welcome back to the program, everybody. Our guest for the second half of the program is Beaver Dam Fire Chief Mike Wesley. Mike, welcome to Community Comment.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here. It's been a couple of months, so I'm glad to be back.
Absolutely. If you would like to join the conversation, have a question or comment for Mike, we invite you to call or text 920-887-9595, or you can call the WBEV studio line at 885-4446. Now, not that long ago, there was a controlled burn on the north side of town, and if you've listened to WBEV or read Daily Dodge, you would have known about that. But a lot of people, it caught them by surprise, and boy, they were pretty alarmed by the sight of all that smoke.
Yeah, I even had the opportunity to listen to you guys talk about it this morning on the radio, and I saw Wade as I was walking in, and so we talked about it just for a short time, but we had the opportunity to do a training burn on on an acquired structure. And so having that opportunity to do those live burns in a semi-controlled environment like that are few and far between. I think that's the second one we've been able to do in roughly 5 years. And so it's just a great opportunity for our younger members specifically to get some real-world experience in a much more controlled environment. So it was a great opportunity. As you said, we put a press release out. It was on Daily Dodge. It was on social media, and so we hope to get the word out. But as things happen, I mean, people traveling through town that don't watch local news or get their news from Dodge County or Beaver Dam, they see it and they think something is going on that's not supposed to be. But it was a very good day of training, and I think a lot of our newer members got a lot of very valuable experience out of it.
Sounds like a pretty rare opportunity if you've only had 2 in 5 years.
Yeah, so I mean, we're fortunate that we have our training facility in town that we can do live burn training at, but it has its limitations. You can only get it so hot in there. You can only use so much fuel, and it does a good job of providing our people with the real basics of what they need to know and building confidence in a environment with limited visibility and high heat and smoke and fire. But we can really build upon that when we have an acquired structure because we don't have to worry about damaging the structure. And so we're able to get it hotter in there. We're able to get it smokier so there's zero visibility. And it just provides a better experience. And again, it builds the confidence in the younger members of the department to where when they get to their first fire, they're confident in their abilities. The last thing you want to do is send somebody to a schooling, for several months. I think it's 3 or 4 months, and then the first time they experience all of that is on a real life situation on a call. And so we try to take as much opportunity as we can to put them through these types of training so they're confident and ready to go.
I'm curious to know, do you scout out these buildings ahead of time to make sure that it's safe for firefighters to be training in there?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's actually a very long and regulated process. So we keep our ears open, and from time to time we'll get a phone call. A lot of people think that we just want to go and do a training burn and burn a building down. But the main thing that we want to do is we want to have the opportunity to set fires inside the building and do that multiple times so we can get that interior experience. And then we will burn it to the ground because these buildings are coming down anyway. So usually when we see this happen, it's because the property is going to be torn down for one reason or another. The last one we did was out on Olinger Road, where Newman Development was building a subdivision. And so we knew that was going to happen. They agreed to let us do that because they were going to tear it down anyway. Similar situation here where the city already owned it, and they were anticipating some development happening there in the future. And so we had our eye on that property for probably like 5 years, but the city didn't know what they're going to do with it for that time period. So the opportunity isn't always there. But once we get the opportunity, we have to work with the state DNR. The entire building needs to be tested for asbestos. So that comes through. If there is asbestos, it needs to be removed. And so you have to hire a contractor for that. And then once all that is done, you have to apply for a permit through the DNR to make it happen. And there's, again, a lot that goes into it. A lot needs to be removed from the building. You can't have any furnishings in the building. It needs to be completely empty. You need to remove all the carpeting, any sort of material that is outside of basically dry wood and hay. I mean, that's what we burn in there, is we burn pallets and hay.
The city is in negotiations now with some, well, the city is on the lookout for that site, for that potential north side fire station. There will be a north side fire station. We just don't know exactly where yet, and that process is underway.
Yeah, so we did meet last week to provide an update to City Council and get some more direction on north side properties that we would like to pursue. And so I received that direction, and we're currently working through that process. Where it's going to be, again, that's something that as negotiations are going on, we don't want to tip our hand to whoever may own that property. And so we're working to identify that site and then acquire it, hopefully sooner than later. Everything else in the project hinges on obviously having those properties, so we can't design a facility unless we know where it's going to go. And we wouldn't want to do that backwards. If we would design a facility and we ended up not being able to take that property, well, then we just spent money that we didn't need to spend. So we're trying to do it in in an organized way that's going to ensure that the work isn't repeated.
And this could be a piece of property that the city already owns, or one that is up for sale, or maybe the city will approach someone who didn't consider selling until they were approached.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we have several options on the table. Obviously, we have, as the city, we have our preferred options, but there are multiple options out there, which include, all in the above of what you just mentioned.
There are people concerned about the cost, but why is it important for Beaver Dam at this point in time to have 2 fire stations?
Yeah, so at the end of the day, there's really 2 issues with the project. One is that we've identified that our current station simply doesn't meet the needs. If anybody is interested, you can go on the city website, click on the fire department, and there's probably, if I had to guess at this point, 500 pages worth of documentation and supporting documentation in pictures and all sorts of stuff on there that outlines why the current facility doesn't meet the needs. Mm-hmm. And then we discuss, if we're going to build a new station, where are we going to put it? Along with that goes response times and why it's important to have those response times. At the end of the day, with a single fire station, we can only respond to roughly the high 30s, maybe even 40% of the city within a 4-minute time period. The reason that 4-minute time period is important is 2 things. One is NFPA recommends that you have that 4-minute response time for fires. Fires grow inherently faster today than they did 50 years ago. It probably comes as no surprise to anybody listening that the clothes that we wear, the furniture in our house, the finishes in our houses, a lot of them are no longer natural fiber. A lot of them are synthetic. And when we start introducing those into the fire environment, they off-gas quicker. They burn hotter than than natural materials, and they create a much more dangerous environment for the residents of the home, which means we need to get there faster than we ever have in the past. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect comes from the American Heart Association. If anybody is going to go into cardiac arrest, for every minute that CPR and defibrillation is delayed, your chance of survival goes down 7%. So in a perfect situation, if you go into cardiac arrest right now, in a perfect situation, I'll start CPR on you and I'll defibrillate you right away. You have a very good chance of survival. Now, if you have to call 911 and it has to go through dispatch, and then we have to travel, then we have to get there, then we have to start CPR, in a really good situation, if you're 4 minutes away from the fire station, in a really good situation, we're probably talking about 50% survival rating at that point. Then you contemplate having a single fire station that's way on one side of the town and travel time is 10 minutes. You've basically written off any chance of survival for somebody that is 10 minutes away. It's very difficult to get it. You have to have near perfect circumstances. So those are the 2 reasons that really led the discussion from 1 to 2 fire stations. That response time is extremely, extremely important. And you got to give credit to the previous chiefs and previous council members, because they've been having that discussion for well over 20 years. But we just haven't gotten to the point where we were able to make that decision. And so I give a lot of credit to not just our current council, because they had a lot of questions. They went through a lot of information, and they took the time to really get the data before they made that decision.
Yeah, it's important to remember you're not just in the firefighting business, you're in the emergency healthcare business.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the end of the day, that's roughly 75% of what we do. And so it's important that we don't, just zone in on one aspect on the fire side, because we provide a wide range of services, and it's important not just to the residents, but it's important to our people that we're providing the best service we can.
Our guest on Community Comment is Beaver Dam Fire Chief Mike Wesley. We need to take a break, and we will be right back. You're listening to Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Comment here on 95.3 WBEV. Here's Terry Bell.
Thank you very much, Jake. We still have a few minutes with Beaver Dam Fire Chief Mike Wesley. If you would like to join our conversation, you can call us or text us at 920-887-9595. You can also call the WBEV studio line at 885-4446. The fire department is in need of some help, and there is a great opportunity for people right now who want to help their community and, maybe make a little extra money.
Yeah, so we just posted for a recruitment campaign for paid-on-call firefighters. So when I explain paid-on-call firefighter to most people, the easiest way to explain it is just think of a volunteer firefighter. We get you all the training you need, we give you a pager, and when significant events occur, you get paged in and you respond as any volunteer firefighter would. We do pay our paid-on-call firefighters. That's why we don't call it a volunteer firefighter. And what they do is they really supplement the career staffing. So on any given day, we have 8 firefighters assigned to the station, but because of vacations and training and whatnot, sick time, let's say, we might only have 6 on that day. And so when you only have that few of firefighters on duty, if there is a significant event, we're going to need a lot more people, and we're going to need them fast. And so we will recall some of our off-duty staff on, but we really depend on our paid-on-call firefighters here in Beaver Dam. And so we are recruiting for that position. If anybody is interested, there's very limited requirements. You need to be 18 years old, have a high school diploma, a driver's license, no experience is necessary. There's an interview process. If you're selected from the interview process, we go on to a physical and a background check and do all that good stuff. That'll take the better part to get through the summer, and then in late August we will send you to Firefighter 1, which is going to be held in Horicon at the new training facility there. That is roughly 120 hours, give or take, of training, and then after that you're off and running, and we continue to train you in-house. And it's just a great opportunity, not just to give back to the community, because a lot of our people, that's why they do it, but once you get in the firehouse and you meet everybody, and the culture of the firehouse, people really seem to enjoy it. It's, a family atmosphere, and it's a great job, whether you're doing it full-time or part-time as a paid-on-call member.
Certainly. I guess what's the difference between, besides the obvious, a volunteer and paid on call? They do the same thing, except one person gets paid and another doesn't. So how does that all work?
Yeah, so the fire service is an interesting world. There's lots of different names and titles to things, but there's a lot of volunteer firefighters out there that while the department may be considered volunteer, they might collect a stipend or an hourly wage, and so it's very department dependent on what the title is. And then there are a lot of departments around that people still do not get paid, and they volunteer 100% of their time. And so realistically, it's a title difference. There's not a whole lot of difference other than that. We all do the same job. Everybody goes through the same required training. And so it doesn't matter if you are a volunteer, if you're a paid-on-call member, or if you're a career or full-time firefighter. No matter what, you still have to go through all the same state-mandated training.
If someone listening is interested in applying, how do they get in touch?
Yeah, so you can stop at the fire station, 205 South Lincoln in the city of Beaver Dam. You can call the fire station for more information. That's going to be 920-887. 887-4600, or you can go online, and that's going to be ci.beaverdam.wi.gov. You can click on employment right there, and it'll go to a list of options, and paid-on-call firefighter is on that.
Okay, very good. It is springtime. We're getting close to the middle of April, and that is open burning season. And you wanted to talk about some do's and don'ts, and please do, and please don't.
Yeah, so spring always, everybody gets a little spring fever, and whether you are out in the townships or you're in the city, everybody seems to want to get outside and enjoy the weather. Really, what we deal with is 2 different types of open burning. One is when we get out into the townships and people are burning off, whether it's dead grass or if they're doing a prescribed burn. I know a lot of the farmers and in agriculture, that's a very good tool to either get rid of hazards in terms of dead grass that could be a hazard in the future, or to revitalize soils and areas like that. And so I guess first we'll talk about burning in the city. The city does have a burning ordinance. It's there to protect not just your property, but your neighbor's property and the lives of your neighbors. Anything in Beaver Dam, the definition of open burning is anything that's really not going through some sort of device, whether that be a chimney or an outdoor wood burner or something of that nature.
How about a fire pit?
Yeah, so a fire pit is open burning. So if you're talking about a fire pit, if you're talking about a grill, anything like that would be open burning. If you're talking about burning yard waste, which is not allowed in Beaver Dam, that would be open burning. So open burning, for the most part, is prohibited in the city of Beaver Dam. The only exception is going to be for outdoor cooking. So again, if you're grilling, totally fine. If you're, whether that's gas, charcoal, whatever fuel you're going to use, or if you're going to have a recreational fire. So if you want to have a fire pit in your backyard, totally acceptable. There's a couple of caveats to that. You need to be 15 feet away from any structure or any flammable materials, and you can't build it or have the fire on anything flammable. So if you want to build and people do these things, if you want to build a fire pit on your wood deck, not acceptable. That needs to be away from the deck and away from the building. And the big thing with this is 99% of people that have fire pits are following the rules. Where we see issues is when people aren't burning clean material, or they're trying to burn cardboard or trash or something. And so if you're burning wet material, or if you're trying to burn yard waste and you're smoking up the neighborhood, 9 times out of 10, somebody's going to call. And if we show up and you're not following the burning ordinance, that's when we're going to ask you to put it out.
Very good. Our guest today on Community Comment has been Beaver Dam Fire Chief Mike Wesley. Mike, the time flew right by. Thanks for coming by.
Thanks, appreciate it.
You've been listening to Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. Thanks for joining us.
How was your break?